was very heartfelt with me was working with a struggling chapter. When I was District 4 Vice President, as I said earlier, my word was different. And I sought out the struggling chapters or chapters that really were very low key or struggling. I feel so happy when I see a struggling chapter walking across that stage, making a difference, bringing in new members, and just going forth. And I have followed that chapter from when I was DVP to I still visit them now. When they actually announced they did their first striving for best practice. They had their first top 10 nominee. And I'm getting choked up as I'm talking to you because this was the chapter that didn't think that they could do it and could make it, and they've actually done recognized on top. They have just, and one person on here knows what I'm talking about. They have just this confidence is so overwhelming. It's like somebody said, seeing somebody come from the back of the room to the front of the room. They are so phenomenal. Going to conferences and just encourage them. Hey, like my mentor once told me, if you want to grow, you're not going to get it sitting in your little box in this chapter, meeting phenomenal women. So they are just so confident, and I keep up with them, and I love that. That is one of my greatest in Hartsville, is making a difference and to see women just excel. Not talking about them, not saying, oh my God, they're just pitiful, but helping. You're either the problem or the solution, and that's what my heart is really. I feel very heartfelt. That's it.
Well, now as we all know, districts have struggled for years to get any of their league members to run for national office. I remember when I first decided to run for DVP, I had no idea what to expect. I literally learned on the go. Then as an ambassador steering committee for D2, I was so excited to chair a committee of 5 past national board members to put together, and Karen was part of this group, to put together a 1-page information on what the league's obligations were. The leagues need to know, and what your obligations are as a national officer. I know and I hope that this simple outline gave those considering running for a national office and their leagues a clearer understanding. So I hope that it helped more than one league. Thank you.
Okay, this is Frances. As being an ambassador, the one thing that I believe that an experience that I had was we had in Oklahoma, one of our chapters was not willing, or I say not willing, but not wanting to move forward with the new technology that we've all had to learn how to do, over the last few years. And so I helped them. I reached out and said, you all need to still meet, and this is the way to do it. So I took an afternoon, sat down with a couple of them, and walked them through the process of doing a simple Zoom. I offered my account, showed them how to get the free account and to do that. And so it was just one of those things that they went forward. They became and worked on Zoom, and they kept holding their meetings. So to me, that was a bonus on me, that I could actually show them how to move forward with technology and help them grow and keep going through the COVID system.
Thank you all. So the next question, what types of questions can you expect to get from leagues as an ambassador? Fran, you touched on that a little bit in your last answer.
Yeah. Well, the questions that I think that you can expect to get are, how can you help us go forward? How can you help us let our membership know how to grow our chapter, how to start with best practices, what's new, we don't know how to get started. We need speakers. can you help us? Can you direct us? I think that, those are questions that I think more of is, how can we grow? How can you show us, or how can you help us grow our chapter? That's my.
This is Karen, and I'm gonna jump in on that too. What type of questions, what are the primary responsibilities of an ambassador? How can I become ambassador? A lot of people, you'll be surprised, they don't know what it consists of to be an ambassador. What are the fees to be active as an ambassador? How many meetings do I have to attend? I'm a professional, I'm a mother, I'm this, so what all is it tied up to being an ambassador? And those are a few of the questions that they ask. They really want to know, what can you do or promote, or as ambassadors standing behind, how important are those? So those are a lot of the questions that are asked, and you have to embrace them and possibly answer to the best of y'all. There are a lot of ambassadors, and another thing too, staying updated. You don't want bad or wrong information given out. And I've seen that a lot of times, if you're not active and you're not staying a part of it, when you do not, as an ambassador, want to give wrong answers. So I always say, if you're not sure of the answer, let me get back to you, or let me put that on the table, I'm going to get back to you. It's better to get back to someone than to share wrong information. If you don't know, don't fake it till you make it, but it can be quoted and carried wrong. Okay.
With me, there's just been a couple of questions. The first one, of course, is what is an ambassador? I get that all the time. Hey, I used to ask that question myself. The second question I get is, why would I want to be a subscribed or dues paying ambassador? Because there is a difference. There's difference in being a paid dues, a subscribed ambassador, and a non-paying dues. What you get out of being an ambassador is different. So that's the two questions that I get the most. And thankfully, I'm able to answer them.
So I think one of, this is something that maybe I fear as well, is when I go to a league, I might get some objections back towards me. Like the league has a complaint about something, or, something that maybe a question I can't answer. So the next question is gonna be around that. So what objections have you faced as an ambassador, and how did you overcome them?
Let me say this. One of the objections that I had faced is an event, how did you overcome? A whiny, woe is me, negativity. A whiny, woe is me, negativity. They may have been an ambassador, or something went wrong, or something didn't go the way, and that you have to address very delicately. And because if anybody knows, when it comes to objection or negativity, it can ricochet. It can be like cancer if you do not cut it out, and you know with cancer, you gotta cut it out. So I try to deal with it that maybe that didn't work for you, or maybe that didn't work for you, some of the solution that may have come up, or it depends on the situation. You have to think logically how you answer whatever that situation. And I'm saying this when it says what objections or did you get, dealing with negativity and dealing with a woe with me, and dealing how to still make things look positive when people may not look at a situation or a scenario the same as you. Am I kind of in the right direction, Cynthia? Yeah. That and you always have, and you always have. Sometimes that person, it can be a beautiful day outside there. Yeah, but that rain is coming, and it's gonna fall in there. It's gonna be a lot of accidents today, and all you said was, "It's a beautiful day outside." And stuff. So you have to nip that thing. When, for example, if they came at me like that and they said, "Yeah, but," and I said, "But you know what? I'm so happy and thankful that even if that comes, it's still going to be a beautiful, some animals or a healthy soil." You just have to be like somebody's playing a game, you just have to be ahead of where they're coming from and finesse with it. But you're gonna always have that negative ambassador or person. So that's one of my biggest objectives. I have issues with negative.
I agree with Karen, yeah, it can be, and the thing is that, and the reason a lot of times that they have that negative idea is because they don't know what an ambassador is. And they feel like, okay, you're an ambassador, big deal, you know, so are you anybody special? But they don't realize, and that's why we're trying to school everybody on exactly what an ambassador can do for a league. So that I agree with Karen big time. You have to be very, very diplomatic, and you just have to, you know, you'd like to take them out and beat them on a rock, but you can't do that. You have to be nice and be very diplomatic in what you say. We're very proud to be ambassadors. We worked hard to be ambassadors. So I love telling them what an ambassador does. And that's the main thing we have to get out to people. It's just not a title. We really work at it.
And Charlotte, I'm gonna feed off of you and both Karen, because, you know, that's, the negativity is a big thing that you have to overcome. But Charlotte and I ran into this not too long ago, is we had a league that, came at both of us, with, some real big negativity. But the thing about it is you have to just sit and talk them through it. And offer, you know, what we did was we had to explain why things were done a certain way, you know, because they were old school. Well, way back when, you know, National used to do this and they used to send out this, and, you know, so we had to really talk to them and talk to them about, you know, we are in the 21st century, we have to move forward, and that, guess what? We are here to help you. We can help you navigate through that, and we will be here. And if you have a question, all you have to do is pick up the phone or send us an email or a text. We're here for you. And I think that's the big thing about ambassadors, is we've got to get the word out as that we are here for you. We're here to help you in your struggles, in your happiness, and everything. So that's kind of, you just have to take, as Karen says, take a step back, look at it. It is a beautiful day outside, and we can get through this, regardless of what it is.
Actually, what Fran's talking about is they attacked me first, and because I didn't want to be the only one attacked, I got her with me.
Sure.
All right, so we have one more pre-planned question, and then we're gonna open it up to everyone. So, when you have leagues within driving distance, I think it's pretty easy to go and participate and mentor and things like that. But what tips do you have for mentoring a league that may be a long distance from you, that's not somewhere where you can go and be in person on a regular basis?
In fact, I'm gonna start that off for you. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom. The best thing you can do, I didn't know anything. I had to ask the young people to show me how to do it. Best thing ever. I like to see faces. I like to see body language. I like to see Zoom works. I know I used to do conference calls or whatever have you. Some people are shy away from Zoom. So guess what? You give training on Zoom. You give training on etiquette, you give training on Zoom, but it's one of the best things. Emails, keep that communication open. If necessary, if you find someone that really doesn't care for Zoom and they still like conference or talk on the phone, use the telephone, whatever it takes to meet the need, to make it effective. And that's what I found with mentoring. Zoom works. It works. Hey, I can say to Charlotte, Charlotte, we need to get up. Okay, let's Zoom right away. And that way you can get expression. But that communication, email, telephone, whatever it takes to get the job done, and say, I can't see you, so let's be face to face. That's what works for me.
Right.
Mentoring, if you really want to tell them you're interested, and some people may not want to talk. they may wanna text. I had to learn how to text. When I was in, I didn't text. You gotta text. And let me tell you, my kids are probably sick that they taught me how, cause I'll text. How to keep up with your people? Text them. Text work. Sometimes you have to find out if they're a younger group, they probably prefer you texting them. You know, older groups may be helpful, so you have to know your audience and what you're doing, and whatever works for whoever is what you use to be effective and successful.
Right, so Karen, I mean, I agree with you. Zoom, two parts of this. So Zoom, versus email or text, that, Zoom will discount any miscommunication. You know, you can email and you can text, but people can take things out of context, you know. But as far as mentoring a league via Zoom, I think you should have a plan, you know, and say, okay, what works best for you? I'm here to help you. Let's set a plan. Is it once a week? Is it once every couple weeks? Is it once a month? Let's set a plan to see and set some guidelines as to help, and then get back with that and stay connected with that league or whomever you're talking to. Don't just say, okay, this is here, give them a plan, and don't always rely on them to get back to you. You be the one that's touching out and reaching out, because that way it shows that we are there to support them, that we just aren't there just, you know, half time, but we're there for you no matter what, and get your plan together and stick by it and watch them grow and help them with anything.
Yeah, I agree with what both of them said. The one of the thing I would do is stay in close contact with your DVP, because they have a lot closer contact with those leagues than you do as an ambassador. And they know a lot more about them than you'll ever know, because you can't attend. And the other thing is that if you stay in close contact with the president of that league, even if you have to just say, hey, can we talk for a few minutes? Get with the president. They are the ones that working with their leagues every day. Work with the president, your DVP, and be there when they need you. That's the big thing about it.
Thanks. Okay, so we have about 25 minutes left in this session, so plenty of time for you all to ask your own questions. So does anyone have a question for our esteemed panel?
I do. Hi, this is Rochelle. I'm asking anyone in the room, but I've heard often about the list that that the ambassadors of different districts are putting together the list of topics that the ambassadors want to speak on or would like to speak on. And as we know, chapters always are looking for speakers. So where are these lists?
I can answer.
Where are these lists?
For District 2, Cindy and Rebecca and I have worked together to create a Google document for our ambassadors to complete, to get your information, and it asks things like, are you willing to travel? Are you willing to present in person, in Zoom? If so, what topics do you present on? How far are you willing to go? I think the question is, are you willing to go outside your normal radius or your local area? Are you willing to mentor a league? And so if we can get more ambassadors to complete that list, then we will share that list with the leagues as one of those resources that you mentioned to help facilitate that and give them direction of, they might know that you're an ambassador, Tracy, but they don't realize that Victoria is not really in Houston proper. So there might be another ambassador that they can reach out to as well. So filling out that spreadsheet, that Google form, only takes a few minutes, and that will help us provide that communication.
And so,
Does that form have on it their contact information?
I think it asks for email and phone number.
Okay, yeah, because that has been a big complaint from the ambassador, from the leagues, that they don't know who their ambassadors are.
Mhm.
And how can they get in touch with them? So I like that, that's a great idea.
And so once that's completed, then how will it be disseminated? Is it gonna be emailed to the presidents? Is it gonna be on the District 2 Facebook page? And I asked the question because, as Karen stated earlier, when we know our audience and when we know who's in our chapters and that demographic, everybody receives things differently. And so I'm encouraging every district that everybody's not on Facebook. Okay, so everybody won't see every chapter, or that president or that individual may not be seeing what's happening on Facebook. So consider a group me chat. That's one of the things I did as a DVP, because I got so many persons that said, I'm not on Facebook, I'm missing all these great things. And so then it gives you two options to disseminate and get the information. So Kelly does a great job at a lot of opportunities for chapters to be able to get on lists. One of the great things I'm enjoying about in this role as vice president is that I'm able to be a part of each district's Facebook page. And Kella's doing a great job in District 2 in seeking interest and lists to gather the information. But then let's think about those persons that's not on Facebook. They're not seeing any of it, okay? And so being able to now take that, put it in a point to where whomever, because we know sometimes leadership changes in chapters, who's responsible for what. And normally it's the professional development professional development committee chair that's looking for the speakers. And so in making that connection, but making it two-part for those persons that's not on Facebook, and look at a group me chat, and where that link can be on there, that they can get it 24/7 as well.
We have been posting things, I've been trying to cross-post in our ambassador group, as well as, depending on what it is, I've posted things in the national member page and the District 2 president's page that I have access to as well. And as people connect with me and provide their information, I am populating a MailChimp for email newsletters as well. So I am trying to hit a lot of those wickets. Certainly I wrote down the group me we can discuss that in the future to see if we think that would benefit our members. There's lots of different tools like that. Remind and Slack, I've used Slack in some groups, that we could potentially use another tool to reach out to individuals.
But I believe it was Charlotte, someone that said earlier that most persons don't know who the ambassadors are. And I do know that prior to becoming on the board, that's one of the things I would say. And I would ask, I would say, well, I would hear the word, but there's no one wearing their name tag every time I see them that just said ambassador. And I didn't know either how you became an ambassador. So Charlotte, I thought you did a great presentation on how that happens. But from what is happening here today, this is great information. Is that being turned into a document, or is there a document that says those things that can be disseminated to the chapters to say, hey, this is how you hear the word. These are the ambassadors in your district, because there were people that I knew, I had no clue they were an ambassador. I knew
Maybe
their
there's
name.
a directory of some sort that
Right.
even, picture where
Right,
they are,
right, right,
contact,
right,
something,
right.
I don't know.
Right.
I like the picture app.
A picture where they are and contact information,
Picture
and why
name.
they're an ambassador. I was a
And
DVP,
chapter.
I was a top 10, I was a whatever.
Right, because what that does, it makes it real to the member.
Putting together the event for tomorrow, Becca asked me if I had a list of the District 2 ambassadors, and I happened to have it. And so I emailed it to her so she could invite the ambassadors.
But this is how, I believe, this is how we really are moving forward in our chapters and our districts. So as we're looking for future DVPs, future top 10s, it won't be as hard. because on the chapter and member level, because as a new member, I kept hearing, I would get introduced, this is Judy, and Judy is thus, and thus. I'm a new member, I hear these titles,
That's so cool,
but I have no clue. I have no clue as to how she got there. You know, why is this person so excited that she is this? And the only thing I could find was how you became a top 10. I could go to Community Connections and I could find how you become a top 10, but I couldn't find anything about steering committee rep, co-rep, ambassador. I couldn't find that. And
It's out
so
there. It is out there. It is out there.
it is, okay.
It's out there. The responsibilities for a steering committee, all of that information is out there. What an ambassador consists of, it is out there.
Okay,
It's out
so,
there. It was created under under Amy Dawson's leadership. It is out there. It gives you a brief description of what it takes to become ambassador, what it takes to be a lead, a co-lead, all of that is out there. And if you need me to forward it to you, I can.
okay,
But
great.
it's out there. Another thing I wanted to address with you, that I heard you say is pertinent. This year we also did a picture like the board has there, the ambassadors did that.
I love it. I loved it. I loved it.
And one of the things I expressed is that introduce yourself so people know who your ambassadors is. As you said, we are there for you. And one of the things, even when I was a DVP, you want to stress the people. We're here if you need anything. We also did, we did a speakers bureau. We started District 4. This is what we can do. Every ambassador that has the expertise, and I brought this to our steering committee, put it out there, because a lot of chapters are struggling with speakers, struggling with, who we're gonna get. Hey, you have expertise. It's like a mini dictionary of Bible right there that you can use.
So
there are a
Karen,
lot of things that ambassadors are about, and they do, and I stress to our ambassadors, put yourself out there, put it out there, and I think they're doing it pretty good. So you'll know, but just like you said, that it's out there, and if it needs to be pushed more and struggle more, we wanna make it like for the steering committee that you wanna be a part of it. Women
Right.
want to hit sale, we don't wanna miss out. That's the way, ambassadors, we want you to be a part of it, we want you to be a part of the board. You wanna grow, now if you wanna stay and be well with me and just stay there, that's fine. That's where you wanna be, that's where you wanna be. But we wanna say, like anybody else, if those shoes are on sale, you don't wanna miss out, so that's the encouragement. So
and so Karen, I apologize, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Karen, you said you were gonna get that document to Rochelle. If you send it to myself and Cindy, when the recap is sent out to all the registered attendees, we can include it in the recap documents. I already have, I know the National Board of Directors sheet that Charlotte referenced, but I don't think I've seen the ambassador one.
And Karen, in District 4, once you put your speakers bureau list together and the topics, how did you disseminate it to your chapters? So,
Okay. The way it was done, because and the only reason I could address this, because I did that under when I what I did was, everybody has something that they're good at. So if you know that you're not good at something, you don't want to get them to try to address that subject. So what we did was your name, your chapter, whatever, and ask, what is your expertise? What do you like to do? What do you like to talk? What do you do and have expertise in? And that's what we did. And when we started different subjects, different things run under different subjects, communication, leadership, finance, or whatever. And everybody would put down what they're good at. Like you heard Cindy saying that she did biking and stuff. So if you want to get into the finance part of your thing, that's when you call her. My master's in leadership. That's what you call. Somebody's maybe in communication, hearing and listening. So this is an opportunity for not only ambassadors to share their expertise, but it also gets you to know and get out and know different chapters. And which works well.
So
And
did the,
ambassadors love it.
so
and it
is the
puts us-
ambassador, so is the ambassador responsible to then sharing their list to persons? Or did
Well, I
the,
guess, you know what, I guess they could, sure, I don't see no reason why we can't, that's a good idea, you know, to share, I think I spoke at your chapter or something,
Right.
you know, I think.
because Karen sent our chapter, Karen sent me her list, direct. And so, but did your district, did you all send it as ambassadors to your DVP and say, hey, disseminate this to the chapters so they would know about this topic? I'm trying to figure out how the chapters get it.
I suggested that this year, for every district, I told them what we did, and I'm not sure if some of them have done it, in fact, I'll follow up on that.
Okay,
But
great.
it worked so well with us that, I don't know, that's a good, maybe we could share less or whatever have you, you know, it's good because people don't mind, that's something, I'm gonna bring that back to you. I'm
Okay.
gonna bring that to you. And I'm gonna follow up too to make sure that most of our reps may have created, I gave it as an optional, just as a
Okay.
suggestion. If something works, but if you guys think that's a great idea, then maybe I'll push it a little bit more
Thank you.
as a chair. We just don't want anybody struggle getting that professional development, and you got people that have, you know, ideas. Now, you may have some ambassadors that may be free or may want a nominal fee, but most of them, you know, that you'll have to work out. But yeah, I'll push that, Rochelle. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
We do have, in addition to the ambassador Google form going around, we have a new one, a speakers bureau one. So if you've had a speaker in your league that you thought was excellent, you could send them the link to put their information and what they speak about into this database, and then we will share it with the league so that they can maybe consider some of the speakers and their topics. It allows you to put up to 3 different topics in that speakers bureau.
And you know, another good thing, if I may add, Cindy, if I may add a little bit to it, it gives you the opportunity that you don't hear the same people all the time. When it's nothing like the same speaker or the same people, and I come from, everybody has a voice, everybody has something to input at the table, we can go around to everybody, and it gives an opportunity for various ambassadors, you may not even know that they were that good, and if they have the opportunity to deliver it, it's different people, that's my purpose, not the same old people. Okay, I'm done.
All right, next question. Who's got one?
I have one. Cheryl,
Go ahead.
I wanted to know the history of the ambassadors. When did it start? And at that, was it the purpose that it is today? How long has it been around?
Okay, Francis, I'm gonna defer that to you. That was before my time when
I was just curious how it started.
you know that.
Cheryl, that's really a good question. You know, I'm not real sure, like as long as I've been in since 2007, I've always known about the ambassadors. Now, the Ambassador Steering Committee came about, it's been around since,
I know, go back to Casey and them.
yeah, I was gonna say, it was past Casey, it was, the steering committee, I think, came around maybe under Vicky's term.
Sure, we're gonna have to get back to you for that.
I was just
We need a
curious.
historian.
What
We don't wanna
what
give you
year-
wrong information. So we
I'm
have to
sorry.
agree.
I know.
I was just curious about the original mission and how it's transitioned,
Yeah.
you know, through the transition of ABWA as well. So I was just curious.
You know, Cheryl, I mean, I will get with my sources and I will find out, because I know they had the ambassador meetings back when I was running for office, back in 2011. So I know it's been around probably more than that, so I'll do some investigation, I'll get it out to Karen, I'll get it to you, and then you can get it out to your committee and trickle it on down. How about
Okay.
that?
Well, that sounds great. As far as where it is in existence today, I think I see the great purpose of it. The purpose of the ambassador is to support the national board and as well as headquarters as well. So I think it's actually really doing well with fulfilling its purpose and helping and assisting. And you have hands all over. When you have strong hands on and everybody else. Plus it keeps people active, it keeps you involved in your purpose.
Okay, thank you.
What I've learned about the ambassador, thus far is I love the knowledge. I love all the wisdom that the ambassadors bring, because it's knowledge and history and experience and I love the way that you all work together as a team to be able to pull information together in documentation form for everybody else to be able to use. And so when you all presented at the regional conference during the Lunch and Learn and shared that information, it was phenomenal. And it really helped all of us. So thank you all for everything that you do.
I wanted to add one thing that I hadn't heard in all of the explanation. No offense, Karen and Charlotte. But one of the things that we have to do as ambassadors, being an active ambassador, is we have to do APEX courses. We have a few requirements of things that we have to do that keeps us active. And when you go back and you research this, Fran, the ambassadors have been around a long time. But what has happened is the mission and the desire of what the ambassadors wanted to achieve grows as we grow as an organization. But we have always had the main purpose is to support all chapters. And we have done that all along, but the structure has changed. We have become more organized, and that's when the steering committee reps were developed. But all along, when you became an ambassador, one of the things, I think Charlotte might have one on, we used to have, well, it's a requirement still, if you look at what ambassadors do, we're supposed to be doing APEX courses, a certain amount of APEX courses all during our term as an active ambassador. But we used to have an incentive to encourage ambassadors to keep learning and growing. And that was, after you completed so many, you received a silver star. Then you received the gold star. And it was a way, you're being recognized by being an ambassador, but you could move up in the ranks in the ambassadors. And then when we got the steering committee reps, that was just a big plus, because that meant we had individuals from all districts to come together and look at what we were doing, how we were doing it, and how we could make it better. And the steering committee reps take it back to the ambassadors, and during their monthly meetings, shared what they had discussed in growing the association. So I just wanted to put that in there, because that's an important part that we all should be doing. If we're not doing, maybe you want to go back and look at what being an ambassador is and see that as one, we should be doing those APEX courses and growing professional with that. That's my little 2-cent word.
Well, thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? We have one more minute.
I have a
Move on.
question. I appreciate everyone who has come in person and virtually to the Ambassador Retreat to support District 2 and learn more about how you can thrive as an ambassador in this special role. I would love to hear from some of you, even from those who are in attendance and not necessarily on the panel. Why are you serving as an ambassador, and how do we get other individuals who qualify to be active ambassadors who are not, how do we bring them back to the table?
How do you bring them back? Okay.
Yes, how do we re-engage them so that they're active ambassadors, that I can utilize them more effectively to support our leagues in District 2? Ones who are not coming to meetings, not showing up for the District 2 calls, not going to events outside their home league. How do we bring them back to the table?
Well, I can say for myself that the mentoring and, you know, take somebody under your wing in your own chapter or in another chapter. And it can be anything from your Apex courses that you take, the connections you make with other members in other chapters, which Marletta in Florida and I are like, you know, boom, boom, neck to neck now. And when it comes to Apex courses, and I'm proud to say that I influenced her in that. And also with running as a candidate, you know what I've learned in life is, you know, it's not always about the win, it's about the journey. And that's what I love to share with people, that, you know, you can run, but you don't, you know, it's not just about winning, it's what you learn throughout the whole journey and the whole process of being a candidate. And I mean, it's just, I feel like a jack in the box now, you know, wind me up and pop, here I am, you know. And that's what I like to do. I like to share that. And, you know, with Facebook, our district Facebook pages, and with all of that, just, you know, share what you do and be happy and proud and love it. And then that, you know, spreads. That's me.
Well, I think that, okay, so they become an ambassador, and they don't realize how important they are to the association. They think, a lot of people think, okay, I got the title, big deal, what does it mean? They don't, nobody sits them down and tells them how important they are and what their duties are. And I think we have a lot of ambassadors, especially new ambassadors, that have no idea what an ambassador does. So instead of being mentored and told how important they are, we just kind of let them float around out there, hoping they'll join us someday. And that's not working.
I think there's power to a personal invitation.
Right.
You know, as an ambassador, I know I've reached out to Barbara and said, hey, I'm gonna go to the Singing River event tonight. Do you want to go with me? And there's, you know, we've talked about that even in our league meetings. Who have we not seen lately? Who knows them? Who can reach out and personally invite them? On social media, you know, you create an event, personally invite people to attend. We've seen that work. So there's definitely power to a personal invitation.
Also
Sandy,
getting
you're
them
right.
engaged, just like getting new members in.
Right.
I wanted to
Problem
add,
is, most of them are coming off of a high. They were in, like, you know, they're a member of the board. They've been president, vice president, you know, District 2 vice president. They've had all of that going on, and then all of a sudden they're not on the board. It's like, oh, okay, now what? And I think as an ambassador, if they say, oh, why don't you help us with this project? I've noticed that if it's project driven or somebody's invited to do something, they seem to jump right in as a new ambassador.
Cindy and Janice, you're right. One of the things I started doing last year and I continue to do is I pick up the phone and I call. and I'll say, hey, haven't seen you, or wow, you know what, you're an ambassador. I haven't seen you at the district ambassador meeting. Oh, well, I'm not getting the emails. Oh, we can remedy that. And so then I would take their name and number, I would email it to the steering committee rep and co-rep, and then have them contact them to get back in the fold. And they were the ones that re-engaged them and shared what they were doing now, and then to say what the fee was, so they could then become active. And so I just found out that there was a lack, as Janice was saying, somewhere in there, that transition, they didn't realize either they were still an ambassador after the role ran off, or didn't actually know they were an ambassador, or that there was an ambassador fee to become an active ambassador. Something was in there. And for my DVP updates, as a part of registration, I would ask, are you an ambassador? Are you a past national board member or a top 10? And if they answered yes, then I gave those names to the steering committee rep and co-rep for them to look on their list and see if they were active. If they weren't active, then they gave them a call.
And I think also what I've found happening, Rochelle, is that that's where that list of ambassadors in all the districts comes in, where the ambassador is going to, the person is going to, the ambassador is going to have ambassador meeting in their district. Well, they're going to put it on Community Connections, but I have found not everybody gets on Community Connections, unfortunately. But I have found that sending a group email to all of your ambassadors works 10 times better. It has to be on Community Connections, but not everybody uses Community Connections. They've got to be invited. But you have to have their contact information be invited.
I would go so far as to say send them a Google invite. Now, not everybody is using electronic calendars, but I'll tell you, if you send me a Google invite, it will land on my calendar. If you don't, it's a toss-up.
Different types of communications to be able to be in contact.
All right, I've let us go over with our wonderful panel. So we're gonna move on. These are great.